young people picking up books. Reading is not as big a culture as we would like it to be. And we want to find out why that is the case and how we can improve on that going forward. It's still Youth Month in South Africa, and it's very important for us to ensure that the young people are reading books because it expands their horizons, expands their knowledge base. And when you have that expanded knowledge base, you can become anything in this world. We are joined in studio by the man who is running programs and campaigns to challenge this literacy crisis and ensure that the young people are reading. In the townships, in the classrooms, they are reading. Murendeni Nefale, or shall I call you Theo Nefale? Theo, thank you so much for your time, man, and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you, Tebogo. What a privilege. Thank you so much for this opportunity to get to talk about what we do as a company. We use the power of storytelling, as we say, to empower young people. And ultimately, we craft our own stories and we try to use those stories to get into schools and to get young people into reading and into falling in love with reading.
I love that. Theo is the founder of Chosen Epics. Chosen Epics, am I correct in saying it like that? What inspired it? What was the gap that you were noticing that made you feel this is absolutely needed in the time that we're in, as well as in the communities in which we are operating?
Yeah, so I think when I started doing research around reading and literacy, I realized how bad it was. So we had heard about it over the years. Reading is the literacy rate is bad. But then when we started getting into it, you then realize, sure, it's actually bad. I think the statistic is over 80%. There was research done a couple of years ago that over 80% of grade 4 learners, so kids up to the age of 10, could not read for meaning. So the word that the teachers use is comprehension. So they don't have comprehension skills. As I've been continuing to get ourselves out there, as we're doing research on the ground, talking to teachers, talking to principals, we're hearing that this really is a problem. Teachers will say they'll put assessments in front of the kids, and then the kids will they'll cram it. They'll know it in a moment, but if a teacher changes the questions, they got 100% yesterday, they fail it the next day. It's a comprehension issue.
It's a comprehension thing.
You see, so they know how to associate words, but they don't know that meaning part is critical. So this Pearls research that was done a couple of years ago just highlighted how bad things were for us as a country.
We'll continue the conversation. It's 20 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with the founder of Chosen Epics, a youth-driven literacy movement that's tackling the harsh reality that millions of South Africans are facing right now, which is a literacy crisis. His name is Murendeni Nefale, but on his books you'll see Theo Nefale. We'll find out why right after this.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation. Africa, it's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
21 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. We're still in conversation with the founder of Chosen Epics, and we are dealing with the harsh reality of literacy crisis in South Africa, particularly in the townships as well as in the classrooms. Murendeni had mentioned the alarming statistics that kids are reading but not with understanding and comprehension. So there's a massive gap there. I want to start off here. It's a rather interesting one. Your name is Murendeni Nefale, but on your books I see it's just Theo. Where did Theo come from?
Yeah, so I have a background in theology, and so you'll often see some of my theology and Christian influences sort of come into the writings here and there. I always knew that I wanted to write content that was fiction and non-fiction, so leadership is another thing that I'm big into, and I've started putting together content that's leadership content. So content that is non-fiction, I use my real name, Murendeni, and then fiction, because it's fantasy as well, the genre. Then I thought, no man, let me get a ghost name, a pen name, and then Theo there is one of the characters in the story, Theophilus, one of the characters who's navigating and is guiding some of the teenagers there.
All right,
and so it's from the perspective of somebody who's been on the journey with the story, but then a play on words there.
So you are a guide.
A guide, I'd like to think so, guiding young people from one stage of life to the next.
I like that. How are you dealing with this, and how are you addressing and combating this literacy crisis? You mentioned through storytelling, but how does that actually practically look like?
Yeah. So I thought about my own upbringing as a child. So I was not big into reading. To this day, I'm not big into reading.
Same here.
If you're to come to my house, you'll see a bunch of bookshelves. So my wife loves reading.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I noticed. So I consume a lot of information, but her vocabulary is still better than mine because she reads.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just from reading, there's just something that you acquire. As far as language goes. Yeah. And so I remember when I was younger, as a boy, I didn't read much, but I enjoyed Super Strikers. I tell people,
we were just talking about it off air, yes.
Dude, I genuinely, so then I would look at the different characters following the soccer team and the soccer players, but the visuals got me.
Yes.
You see, so the reading itself, not so much, but the visuals got me.
Yeah.
And as the years went on, there was this book series called The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, where they got these cartoon characters, and so more boys started reading. So I thought to myself, nah man, there's something there. What if in 2025 we in South Africa came up with content that young people could relate to, that would draw them in, and then once you draw them in with engaging storytelling, then you actually then enhance and put in whatever teaching principles you want to put in. Amazing. You know what I'm saying? And for us, we want to do so that the novel that you have in front of you there is book one of a 3-book series, right? And so the idea in a series is you get kids to invest in characters.
Okay.
So when they're invested in characters, they're more likely to keep wanting to follow the stories and follow the characters.
Yes.
Whereas if you just show them a short story, okay, sharp, they'll read it, but then life goes on because there's no attachment. So that's the thinking for us as a company, where you'll see the comic book there is sort of adapted from the main novel. The main novel is 379 pages long, so it's a long read.
It's quite a book.
Yeah. So it is. You're not going to read it overnight per se.
Yeah.
But then the comic book was birthed from that. There's each of the characters has their own little bio. I've written a story about Dumi, who's one of the 6 characters. She's from South Africa. She's from Soweto, Meadowlands. And so we're then doing little spin-offs from each one that again tries to get young people more engaged and connected with the characters.
What seems to be the problem when it comes to kids picking up books and just reading? Where does it start? Where does the problem start? Does it start at home or in the school?
Yeah, that's a good question. My default would say both and. My default would be both at home, both at school. So again, school, kids are forced to read. if I think about my entire academic journey, I was forced to read even when I went to university, even when I went, So you don't have a choice but to read. But with kids, we're trying to get them to read and to go deeper in the reading. Right, so I was talking to one of the teachers. So you mentioned rightly so that we're trying to focus on schools, especially in townships and in the rural context. So the South African school system is split up, the government school system, into 5 quintiles. Quintiles 1 to 5. Quintiles 1 to 3 are your poorer schools, where there's no school fees, right? And so it's government funding that covers it. And so that's typically where the literacy crisis is the highest. Not necessarily in your suburban government schools, because they typically have additional resources that allow them to have support from teachers, extra tutors, parents are more involved. So I think you to answer your question, you do see that if the home can reinforce what the schools are teaching, then a student is more equipped. So time and time again, we do need the home and parents or guardians to be involved. But again, the reality of South Africa is our parents and our guardians aren't always available. They're out there providing. They're out there,
absolutely.
We're trying to figure out as a company, how do we come alongside the schools, come alongside the parents, and try and support where some don't have that same amount of support.
How has the buy-in been so far? The schools that you've been to, the kids reading the novels and then the comic books, how has the buy-in been from the kids, the teachers, and the parents as well?
Yeah, so we are still in the early phase of rolling out our programs and getting the books into the schools. And so we are currently in the process of finalizing piloting in a primary school in Seshego, Polokwane, one of the townships.
Nice.
We're also in talks with a high school in Soweto. But we're also we're partnering with a non-profit that has been doing mentoring work with underprivileged kids in a couple of high schools. And so they identify some of the high-achieving kids in those contexts, and they've actually seen results over time. And then there's another private Christian school that we're trying to roll out one of our other programs as well in the south of Gauteng. So I will say every teacher, every school we communicate with are excited. The challenge is the funding. So typically it costs to run our programs, right? So it's a business. And so one of our business models then we'll approach a business or a corporate and then we'll ask them to sponsor a program in one of the schools. So I think the buy-in has been great thus far. The key is crossing over that funding dynamic. And isn't it always the case? It's the finances side of things.
Well, important conversation that we're having, and one that we need to expose to the listeners and those decision makers at large right now listening in on this conversation, because if it's a funding thing, then they need to be not just convinced, because I love this initiative and I think it's something that we need to be rolling out across all the schools, just to develop and harness a culture of reading amongst the young people. If you can start it when they're young, they'll grow up to be even more competent, just incredible human beings. Intelligent, yes, but also with understanding of what's happening around them. There will be people who will understand how to look at situations and find solutions, and this is based on what they've been reading. And it's been an amazing conversation that we've been having. And we'll continue the conversation, Murendeni, because I want to find out the characters in your books and what you base them off. For now, it's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's get the sports news with Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And in this hour, Tebogo, we begin with the marathon, Comrades Marathon, where 74-year-old veteran marathon runner Louis Meissen is still on a high after achieving a remarkable milestone. Completing his 50th Comrades Marathon, the Otinikwa Harriers athlete, who hails from George in the Western Cape, also broke other world records during his down run from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. The celebrated athlete is now also the first person in the world to complete 50 ultra-marathons. Meissen completed his first Comrades Marathon in 1973. He's also earned the coveted 6-star medal for completing marathons in Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago, and New York. Now he'll also be able to submit his new accolades to the Guinness World Records. Masin says he ran the race with 50 of his closest running mates.
The support along the route was just amazing. It was a tough day out, but yes, thank you to all the supporters, the spectators, fellow runners. You are keeping me motivated. Thank you ever so much. It has been a great day out, probably the best day in my real running history of 52 years.
And the world indoor champion Prudence Khodiso says she's looking forward to taking part in the next leg of the Diamond League Series, which will be held in Paris on Friday. This after she reached the podium in the events at the 7th leg of the Diamond League Series in Stockholm, Sweden at the weekend. So Khodiso took 3rd position in a hard-fought women's 800-meter contest, raking in valuable Diamond League Series points. She completed the 2-lap race in 1 minute 58.00 seconds, with Georgia Hunter-Bell of Great Britain storming through at the finish to take the win in 1 minute 57.66 seconds. Outdoor world champion Mary Mora of Kenya finished second in 1 minute 57.83 seconds, just 0.17 seconds ahead of Khodiso. Meanwhile, though it wasn't a Diamond League race in the men's 100-meter contest, Brett Lingwana took 2nd position in the pre-program. He crossed the finish line in 10.23 seconds, 0.05 seconds off the pace of Ghanaian athlete Benjamin Asamati, who secured victory in 10.18 seconds. South African champion Gift Leotlela was disqualified for a false start. The long wait is finally over. Mamelodi Sundowns will kick off their FIFA Club World Cup campaign against Ulsan from South Korea in Orlando at midnight tonight, South African time. This is the 2nd time the Brazilians have qualified for the World Cup, having also done so in 2016. The Brazilians left back Aubry Modiba says they have enjoyed their stay so far and have been preparing well for their South Korean opponents.
The food, the hotel, the hospitality, everyone is friendly, they're very welcoming, the food is proper, we're enjoying every moment. We even had to go see the game, Tampa, it has been great and we're enjoying every moment. There's been a week and we've been preparing well, doing gym work and everything, and the coach, making sure that the team is prepared for the game, no major injuries, and it has been great. Looking forward to more weeks here and hopefully do well in the games and so we stay longer.
And finally, World Football's governing body FIFA talent coach Amin Ninje says he's confident that Liberia's youth national teams will become competitive on the international stage by the end of the ongoing FIFA Talent Development Scheme, TDS, a 2-year global initiative aimed at nurturing elite young players. Launched by former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, the TDS is designed to support member associations in building high-performance environments, expanding coaching expertise, and strengthening youth competitions to drive long-term football development. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Phil Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Ahoy, matey.
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
36 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's find out how the markets are moving with Nosipho Zuma, who's got your business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Kenya's Parliamentary Finance Committee has rejected a proposal to grant the country's revenue authority unrestricted access to taxpayers' data, citing privacy concerns and constitutional safeguards. Now, according to a report published late on Monday, the provision included in this year's finance bill drew public backlash over alleged privacy violation. The committee says that current laws already allow the Kenyan Revenue Authority to access financial data with the court warrant, rendering the proposal unnecessary. Nhlanhla Mahlangu reports.
Kenya's Finance Minister John Mbadi has defended the measure, saying it would help curb tax evasion, particularly by wealthy individuals exploiting legal protections to conceal financial information. Mbadi was not immediately available to comment on the committee's decision. President William Ruto's government has been trying to increase tax collection to help keep up with the growing debt repayments. Last year's finance bill was followed by deadly riots against tax increases. Mbadi has said the government will not impose new taxes or raise existing ones in this year's bill. For Channel Africa News, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Zimbabwe's gold-backed currency now has more than 100% reserve cover and is stable, but doubts over its credibility remain, underscored by a persistent premium in the parallel market. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe on Monday kept its benchmark rate unchanged at 35%, citing a stable exchange rate as one of the reasons, and reported total reserves of $701 million. The bank says the portion of transactions carried out using the Zimbabwean gold, which is ZiG currency, surged to 43% in May from 26% in April 2024, the month it was introduced. African energy explorer Rhino Resources and its partner Azul Energy will drill the New Volans 1X exploration well offshore Namibia in late July or early August. The Volans prospect is being investigated soon after Rhino Resources struck light oil in April at a second successful exploration well, Capricornus 1X, that was drilled in the prolific Orange Basin of Namibia's coast. Tabisolo Hoko has more.
A company spokesperson says the test in Volans is a priority for a potential fast-track development option, adding that its morphology could make it easier to exploit than Capricornus. The Cape Town headquartered company is the operator of Petroleum Exploration License 85 in partnership with Azul Energy, a BP and Eni joint venture, as well as National Oil Company Namco and Chorus Investments. Other operators that have found significant discoveries offshore the southern African country include Shell and Gulp Energia.
Global oil demand will keep growing until around the end of this decade, despite peaking on top of imported China in 2027. The International Energy Agency says the growth comes as cheaper gasoline and slower electric vehicle adoption in the United States support consumption. Despite seeing an earlier demand peak of China, the IEA, which advises industrialized countries, stuck to its prediction that global demand will peak by 2029. This view sharply contrasts with that of producer group OPEC, which says consumer will keep growing for much longer. And finally, US President Donald Trump says he would likely extend a deadline for China-based ByteDance to divest the US assets of short video app TikTok. In May, the president said he would extend the 19th of June deadline after the app helped him with young voters in the 2024 election. His comments to reporters on Air Force One on Tuesday reiterated that sentiment. Your financial indicators: one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,544 naira 28. In Botswana is 13 pula 23. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 39. And in Zambia is 24 kwacha 17. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 52. Russia is 78 rubles 69. India is 86 rupees 02. China at 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 83. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,383 and platinum at $1,249 per ounce. The price for Brent crude oil is at $74.07 a barrel. Now, for any news stories or any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa. Big news from Channel Africa. Now you can listen and watch your favorite shows on Channel Africa. Channel Africa is streaming live on the internet on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1 from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. Central African Time. Download the SABC Plus app or visit our website www.channelafrica.co.za and stream us live on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1. Channel Africa now streaming for your eyes and ears only. Channel Africa, the African perspective. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
It is 43 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back to The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. We are still coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can stream our conversations live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and at Channel Africa on YouTube. Let's continue our conversation with the man who is a storyteller with a purpose, a voice that's cutting straight through the literacy crisis that we're dealing with in South Africa. Murendeni Nefale. He isn't just an author. We spoke to him earlier about the incredible work that he's doing through his business Chosen Epics, a youth-driven literacy movement tackling the harsh reality that millions of young South Africans are facing, and that is the struggle to read and comprehend what they are reading. And I just want to commend you, first of all, the incredible work that you're doing. We were having our own off-air conversations about the work that Chosen Epics is doing. And I want to go back to the basics of the crisis that we do find ourselves in, the literacy crisis. How important is a parent's involvement in a child's ability to pick up reading and develop a culture of reading in the homestead? How important is a parent reading for their child and instilling that culture? Why is that so important?
Yeah, look, and while we were talking off air, you asked me if I read for my boys. So we have a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. And interestingly, my wife is the one who instilled the reading culture, and not me. You know, but again, she grew up reading. And she still reads to this day. She reads for fun, whereas I consume stories through video format. So I love watching. So I've got all the subscriptions: Netflix, Prime, Disney, Showmax, and so she just my wife reminded me of the importance of us getting our boys to read at a young age, and so we're already reading to him, and again, you see the importance of a parent, because were we not the ones who had chosen to start reading for him now, it means he would have started being exposed to reading at a later stage.
Yeah.
So from my own personal experience now, as a father of 2 young kids, I can say, yes, it's important. Now, research has told us, I think the data in South Africa has told us that where parents are involved, you'll see an increase in knowledge that is retained on whatever is being taught at school, right? So one of the things that you see when you compare kids in poorer contexts versus kids in more affluent contexts, one of the big differences is the availability of parental or guardian support, right? So already there's a gap there, and it's reinforced by the fact that sometimes the parents or the guardians of the kids themselves in some of these poorer contexts, they themselves can't even help the kids even if they wanted to, the role of parents is critical. So we we have 3 programs that we run as Chosen Epics as a company. So I wrote these books, but we built programs around them. The first one is a literacy program targeted at primary school and high school kids. The second program we have is a leadership program. And then the third program is a tertiary level program that focuses on workplace readiness. Okay. So all of these, there's still this literacy theme. But one of the things that we've done with the literacy program for schools is we've incorporated parental support and connection in these programs, right? So where possible, we're trying to, and again, the feedback we've gotten from teachers and principals, they've helped us refine the worksheets to get parents involved. They say, the principals have said, try not to ask too much of parents because they're busy. They don't have too much time, right? Craft activities that parents can get involved with their kids, even if it's just a few minutes at a time, right? So we have learned that parental involvement can be a critical aspect of strengthening literacy. We have crafted the involvement of parents even into our programs as a company.
I love that. Let's talk about the Chosen battle with a Seborrhoean prince. Seborrhoean prince. You said it took you 6 years to create this book. Tell us about this story. Tell us about this story. What inspired it, and walk us through what we can expect when we pick up this book.
Yes. So let me read the back cover. Sure. I think it captures it well. So it says, a high school junior named TJ opens the front door of his house one day to find a brown package with nothing but his name written on it. In it, he finds a personalized credit card, passport, and a watch. He also discovers a note with an invitation to a location he has never heard of before, Kathmandu. Intrigued beyond measure, TJ leaves everything familiar behind him and books a one-way flight to Nepal, thanks to his mysterious new credit card. Once at his destination, TJ learns that he is one of 6 teenagers from different parts of the world, whose lives now intersect because they each received a mysterious brown package. Each followed their curiosity to come to this point. Told they would receive the answers to all their questions if they successfully climb to the top of one of the most challenging mountains in the world, they accept the challenge. There they will soon find out that they are at the center of a millennia-old battle between 2 groups of powerful forces that have been at odds since the beginning of creation. What started out as a journey spurred on by curiosity will result in exposure to a world they could have never imagined. This is the ultimate clash between good and evil, with the fate of humanity in the hands of 6 unexpected teenagers. Can these 6 teenagers change the fate of the world? So yes, it took me 6 years to write. Started 2015, finished 2021. Another sort of 18 months to have a friend of mine sketch the front cover, and then another friend to help with proofreading and editing it, right? So this is definitely something that I'm super confident it can go into any superior bookshop in our country, across the world, because, man, this is like, I've put in the hard work into the story, right? And again, so I think to the question of the inspiration, so I grew up watching Harry Potter. I grew up watching the Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, and then a bunch of Marvel movies, so like superhero movies. So I think it's a cross inspiration of all of those, and then my Christian worldview, then my biblical reading. There's a mix of everything, and then being a black man in South Africa, there's a mix of that. I started writing this while I was doing my master's in California, and so there's a mix of some of my experiences in LA that went into the story as well. So yeah, those were definitely all of the inspirations.
No, this is amazing. I tell you what, it's giving blockbuster. I'm ready to see this in the cinema someday. What a read! And then you turned it into a comic book. Yeah. What was not the inspiration, because I know where the inspiration came from for this one. You were speaking to the different continents in this particular book. Why was it so important for you to represent all of these continents?
Yeah, look, I mean, perhaps it's the fact that I'm South African, and we talk about the Rainbow Nation. We talk about the fact that we are a nation that is comprised of a variety of races, of cultures, of people groups. Yeah. And so that's always been a value for me. My wife is Zambian. And so in our own home, there's 2 different African nationalities represented. Yeah. So I think that's always been important for me as a value. Just the fact that I believe God made us uniquely different. And so we need to celebrate that. So the story revolves around 6 young people from 6 continents, right? From 6 different parts of the world. Yeah. The one is from Los Angeles, the other one is from London, the other one is from Australia, the other one is from China, the other one is from Argentina, and then Dumi, our South African local girl, from Soweto, Johannesburg, And so the idea is, again, also from a worldview perspective, it's important for us to recognize that we need one another, right? Like this thing of I can do things on my own. I really don't agree with that. And so even with our story, we'd love for young people to recognize, man, like we are better together. Yeah. Right? Like there's the slogan that our pastor uses a lot at the church, which is better together. And I think that is an important principle in life. Yeah. When you think you don't need other people, man, you're headed down a lonely road.
100%.
A limited road. Yeah. And so in the story, these kids take on the world. They take on the evil forces of this world, but they couldn't do it alone. Each of them come with their own worldview, their own perspective. And I think that's what I love for our young South African readers. For them to recognize, even though they might come from Seshego, Polokwane, or Soweto, they have so much to offer. Yeah. What do you have that you can offer the world? And then we put that together. We're going to take on the world. We're going to change the world.
How can we support this movement? Chosen Epics, how can we support?
We would love to get copies of our books into young people's hands. So that's, if you have a young person, if you have a son, you have a daughter who's in high school, who's in primary school, buy copies of the books for your kids. Yeah. Buy copies of the books for your nephews, for your friends' kids. That's definitely the first starting point for us here is get copies and then let's distribute them to our young people.
Where can we get them?
We can get them online. So at our website, www.chosenepics.com, www.chosenepics, chosenepics.com. It's also available on Amazon, on Kindle. So The Chosen, you'll find it on Amazon on Kindle, and then typically wherever I am in person, we definitely will sell copies of the books as well.
Oh, I love the fact that it's not just accessible here in South Africa, but anywhere, and actually anywhere around the world, we can access these books. The Chosen, an epic adventure by Tebogo Nefale, and then The Chosen, Battle with the Seberosian Prince by Tebogo Nefale. Murendeni. Let me not call you by your fictional name. Murendeni, thank you so much for your time. Incredible work that you're doing, and we wish you nothing but success. May your star continue to shine, and we certainly hope that people buy copies of these books and distribute them to the young hands in South Africa, in Africa, everywhere around the world, so that we can instill a culture of reading on the African continent. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon and the incredible work that you're doing.
Thank you for the time and opportunity, Tebogo.
The founder of Chosen Epics, Murendeni Nefale. Check out his books. It's now 4 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. Ndawana coming your way by Shasha, featuring Kelvin Momo and Sykes. Enjoy.